Namaste friends. Recently, Saturn changed sign. He went from Capricorn to Aquarius, and Sani Deva will stay in Kumbh Rasi till March 2025. So I will talk about what kind of results are possible for the world and individuals, and also cover some prayers to Sani Deva that people who have problematic Saturn transit can you make use of. The time period in question is from January 6th of this year till March 20 of 2025. Of course, Lahiranamsha is used in the mainstream, and according to that, the date is actually January 17th. So a lot of people may have seen it. But as I mentioned in a previous video, as I clearly explained, Lahiranamsha is not really based on any astrological criteria. It was just a bureaucrat friend of Nehru, N.C. Lahiri, who was appointed by Nehru to standardize festivals across India, just came up with something arbitrary, and then astrological community blindly accepted it. And what the astrological community did over the last millennium is way different. So this is not the correct date, this is the correct date. But don't worry, you don't have to do puja or something on the exact date when Shani changes Rasi. But while Shani is in that sign, you can use Saturdays. Every Saturday you can do something if Shani is a problematic planet for you. But this is the correct date. What does Shani represent? First, let us look at the Puranic story. Surya, or sun god, his wife is Sandhya, and then unable to bear the heat of sun, she goes to her father's house, and then she asks the servant maids, Chaya, to pretend to be her. So Chaya takes the form of Sandhya, and Surya thinks that it is his wife. So when he gets together with Chaya, then Shani is born. And afterwards, of course, Yama, who's the other son of Surya through Sandhya, he mentions this to Surya, he reveals this to Surya. After all, Yama is the god of Dharma, he's the god of maintaining order in the world. So, and then Surya leaves Chaya, and then Sandhya returns. So that's the story. So he's the son of a servant maid and the sun god. And the significance of this is sun stands for the Atma Balam, the Atma, the willpower or the soul within us, the spiritual being within us. And Sandhya, it is basically, Sandhya means dawn or dusk, the junction between the day and night. So basically, the junction between knowing your true nature and being in ignorance, it is that basically. So that nature can sometimes find the soul to be too powerful, too hot, and want to stay away from it. And then Chaya means shadow. So shadow is symbolic of doubt. So our doubt that maybe I'm not God, maybe I'm this, maybe that. So that self-doubt is represented by Chaya Devi. And when self-doubt and the soul or spiritual strength or willpower are together, then Shani is born. Shani symbolizes our ability to persevere, our ability to persist with things, our discipline, our patience, our ability to bear things, and then our ability to do austerities and do sadhana. Shani is a very important planet for doing spiritual sadhana. He gives a lot of patience to do spiritual sadhana. And also he is a very important planet for sannyasa. So anyway, so because he is born to Surya, who represents the soul, he basically has that clarity of soul within him. But at the same time, because his mother is Chaya Devi, the doubt, there is doubt. And when there is doubt, even though Advaita Vedanta says that we are Brahman, we are Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, we think that no, I am this person, I have to go through some suffering, I have to go through some karma. So basically that, then what you really need is ability to go through that karma with discipline, with patience, and do sadhana with patience, so that you can realize your true nature. That is what Shani represents. So the qualities represented by him, as I mentioned, are patience, perseverance, discipline, austerity, ability to lie low, etc. So humility, all these are qualities shown by Shani. And accordingly, he represents the downtrodden people in the society. He represents servants, people who live in slums, people who are very poor. That kind of people are represented by Shani. And I will, when I talk about the prayers, etc., I will come back to this. Now, what does Kumbh Rasi represent? Various rasis are limbs of the Kalapurusha. For example, Aries or Mesha is the head of Kalapurusha, Taurus or Vrishabha is the face of Kalapurusha, and so on. And Sagittarius or Dhanus is the thighs, Makara or Capricorn is the knees, and Aquarius or Kumbh Rasi is the calves and the ankles of Kalapurusha, and Pisces is the feet. So the thing with calves is they represent stamina. They represent basically strength. You can see how strong somebody is based on the strength of the calves, and also they carry the weight of the whole body. So it is the sign that shows stamina, and also it is the sign that shows calves and ankles are important for mobility basically. So it is also a sign that shows being able to philosophize about things, the flexibility. Even though it is a fixed sign, it shows one's flexibility, and one's philosophical nature. So the qualities represented by it accordingly are philosophers, people with a very practical, dry nature. Those are the qualities represented by Kumbh Rasi. And the places it represents. Kumbha literally means a water pot. Oh, by the way, water, the symbol for Kumbha is water, and water is basically liquid. Liquid is also stands for the stamina comes from the liquid within us. So there is a link between stamina, as I mentioned, and the liquid. So anyway, it represents watery places, places that are watery, and also it represents high places, hills, etc., because that is where philosophers like to dwell. So mountains, waters, those are the places represented by Kumbh Rasi. Now Sani in Kumbha, it is actually, people are unnecessarily worried whenever Sani changes sign and say, oh boy, this is bad. But the thing is, Kumbha is his own sign. It is actually his Mola Trikona. Mola Trikona means for every planet there is one sign that is called Mola Trikona. It is like his office. So one sign is where you feel comfortable, and office is where you do your duty basically. So it is a sign where he feels enabled to do his dharma. So it is a very important sign for Sani Deva to be in. So Saturn is very strong in Aquarius. He is very strong. So it is a great time for Saturnine qualities manifesting within you. So it is a great time for restraint, austerities, doing spiritual sadhanas, lying low, instilling discipline, having some new practices and having discipline in them, and leading an austere life. So this is a very good time for spiritual sadhana. So take advantage of it, particularly in the next couple of months. Guru is in Meena, own Rasi, and Sani is in Kumbha, own Rasi. So both of them are very good placements. So this is a great time for spiritual sadhana. Now, what are the results that Saturn can give when he is in Aquarius? First of all, being the planet of restraint, Mars is the planet of aggression and Saturn is the planet of restraint. So being the planet of restraint in own sign, in Mola Trikona, there is some hope for some peace and some restraint during this period. So some ongoing wars may basically slow down in this period, or may even end in this period, and there may be some rays of hope for peace during this period. Of course, there will be ups and downs within the period. For example, when Mars comes to Simha, Leo, Mars and Saturn will be aspecting each other, and Saturn, the Aries planet, will be in Aries sign, whereas Mars, the fiery planet, will be in a fiery sign. So that is very problematic. So I think it is in the middle of this year. So that is one problematic time, and later he will come to Scorpio, own sign. So both Mars and Saturn in own signs aspecting each other by 10th aspect and 4th aspect. So that is another problematic time. So there will be problematic times, but overall this is a period when restraint has a chance to work. That's the undertone basically for these 2 years. But one thing is, Saturn is also the planet of masses. He is the planet of the common man. So when Saturn is strong, there is a chance of masses organizing and big mass movements during this period. So there can be big mass movements, and also environmental activism may increase during this period. I just want to say a couple of words from a long-term perspective. From a long term, I predicted long back, a decade and a half back, that 2020 to 2036 is a period of chaos and long term transformation, a once in a millennium kind of transformation of the world. It will be painful, but at the end, world will be in a more dharmic and sustainable place. So during this period, if we look at sub-periods just based on Saturn's transits, Saturn will be in Makara from 2020 to 2023. Makara is an evil sign, it's a, it's a tamasic sign, and it's also the sign of Kalipurusha. So in this period, this is a period of upheaval, struggles, etc. And Saturn in Kumbha, 2023 to 2025 March, is a period of some stabilization and showing some restraint. And Saturn in Meena is a period of some hope and optimism, because Meena is owned by Jupiter, so that is 2025 to 2027. But Saturn in Mesha, where he is in Nicha, he is debilitated and is the sign of Mars, a fiery sign of Mars. He is very, very unhappy there. So that period, 2027 to 2030, is a period of chaos and big struggles and big clashes, etc. And finally, when Saturn is in Vrishabha, especially when he is in Kritika and Rohini, that is the period when 2030 to 2032, that is the period of major war and destruction. That is the pinnacle of this long-term transformation that I mentioned. So relatively, the current period, the next 2 years are not really that bad. There can be some level of stability and some restraint in the geopolitics. How will be things for individuals? Well, for Mesh Rasi people, Aries people, Saturn is in 11th house. For Kanya Rasi or Virgo people, Saturn is in 6th. For Dhanu Rasi or Sagittarius people, Saturn is in 3rd house. So these Janma Rasis, for them Saturn is very good. Sani Deva is very auspicious during this period, these 2 years. And Sadhe Sati, also known as Elnad Sani, as basically the 7.5 years of Saturnine problems, is running for 3 rasis, people of 3 Janma Rasis: Makara, Kumbha, Meena, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So these people have to be careful. And of course, you have to look at the individual chart to see whether it will be problematic or not. See, for example, in my 7.5 years, previous 7.5 years of Saturn, I had a 9+ GPA at IIT Madras. I was second in my class, which is pretty good given how competitive IIT is. And I went to US, did my masters, and got married, got a job. All that happened in Sadhe Sati. And in Sanidasya, I had other distinctions also. So the thing is, it's not necessarily bad for everybody. We have to look at the chart of the individual to see how bad it will be, or whether it will not be bad at all. And also, which of the three 1/3 of the 7.5 years will be particularly bad. Makara Rasi people are in the third phase. Kumbha Rasi people in the second phase, and Meena Rasi people are in the first phase of the 7.5 years of Saturn. So anyway, but at a macro level, these Rasis have to be careful, and they can do some propitiation for Shani, which I will cover later. And it is also bad for Vrishabha Rasi people, Karka Rasi people, and Vrishik Rasi people. Taurus, Cancer, and Scorpio. For Taurus people, he is in the 10th house. So some problems in career or in general, some social pressures, etc. are possible. For Karka Rasi people, Cancer sign people, he is in the 8th house. So Ashtama Shani, there can be a lot of anxieties, tensions, etc. For Vrishik Rasi people, he is in the 4th house of Sukha. So there will be Sukhalopa. It will feel like there is a weight on their chest and things are not moving for them. They will feel very uncomfortable and there will be a lack of peace in the mind. So these 6 rasis have to be careful. They can be, again, it's not necessarily bad for everybody with these rasis. It depends on your own horoscope, dashas, and other gochara, and also your annual chart, etc. But at a macro level, these rasis have to be careful. Now we'll do some prayers for Sani Deva. One simple prayer, of course, I didn't give it here, but a Nama Mantra is always effective for any Devata. The simple Nama Mantra for Shani is Om Sham Shanaishcharaya Namaha. Shanaishcharaya. Oh, Shanaihi means slowly, Chara means moving. So Shanaischara means one who's moving slowly, because it takes 30 years to go around the zodiac and come to the same place. Slowest among all the 9 planets. So, Om Sham Shanaishcharaya Namaha. You can chant it 108 times every Saturday or every day, or how many hour times you can do. And this mantra was given by Vyasa. It is from his Navagraha Stotram. This is a very powerful prayer in Kali Yuga. Om Neelanjana Samabhasam Raviputram Yamagrajam Chaya Martanda Sambhutam Tam Namami Shanaishcharam. Again, you can chant it a few times every day or every Saturday. Particularly Saturday is auspicious. And what I suggest is, instead of just chanting it once, chant it for 108 times or certain number of times. In general, try to do it like 10 minutes or more. The longer you do, the better it is. But more importantly, apart from meeting counts on time, try to focus your mind and try to think that there is Sani Deva there, and he's going to bless you with stamina, patience, and he will solve your problems. I'll give a few more options. There is a 16 name prayer for Sani Deva, which is very, very powerful, and it is in 2 slides. So this is the first half, second half is in the next slide. I will chant it again. You can get it by heart and you can chant it, or you can see it and chant, or you can just listen to it. Listening is as effective as chanting according to Shastras. Sravanam and Patnam are as effective if you have focus in it. Om Kona Shanaishcharo Mandah Chaya Hridayanandanah Martandajah Tatha Saurih Patangi Grahanayakah Abrahmana Krura Karma Neela Vastranjanadjutih Krishno Dharmanujah Syantah Shushkodarah Varah Pradah. So this is the 16 name prayer of Shani. You can chant it every Saturday or every day, as many times as you can. But like I said, have a target of 10 minutes at least, and maybe if you have enough time, half hour, like that basically. You can put a count and you can do it that many count, or you can just put a time and do it until the time limit expires. Now there is another mantra. This was recommended by Parashara Maharshi, Vyasa's father, in Bruhat Parasar Hora Shastra. To appease Sani Deva, this is the mantra he suggested. This is from Atharva Veda. So this is, again, if you are comfortable with the intonation. By the way, Veda mantras have to be chanted with either intonation, or if you don't know, you can chant with monotone, which means the same tone for all, no ups and downs, everything the same way. So that is also acceptable for Veda mantras. But I will chant with the tone here. Om Syanno Devi Rabhishtaya Apo Bhavantu Pitaye Syamyo Rabhisravantu Nah. Sorry, I moved it. I'll chant it again. Om Syanno Devi Rabhishtaya Apo Bhavantu Pitaye Syamyo Rabhisravantu Nah. Sorry, no swaha. This is, I copied from a Homa manual. No swaha. I mentioned in my recent Mantra Pushpam video that Veda mantras have very subtle meaning, sublime meaning, and literal meaning is not necessarily the right one. So I'll just talk about the meaning of this mantra a little bit. The conventional meaning, first I will talk about it. The literal meaning is given by Swami Dayananda Saraswati of Arya Samaj. This is the link where you can find it. Oh, by the way, this mantra, I said Atharva Veda, it is also in Yajurveda. It is in Yajurveda and Atharva Veda. So this is the word breakdown he gave. I won't go through it in detail. Those interested can pause here and look at the word breakdown. But this is the meaning that he gave in his commentary. Those who perform yajnas, divine auspicious rituals, and use pure substances like water, they beget great comforts and well-being always. So this is the meaning given by Sri Dayananda Saraswati, not the Ashvidya Gurukulam Dayananda Saraswati, but the previous one, Arya Samaj person. So my view is this is quite superficial. You are saying that those who perform yajnas and use pure substances like water, they beget great comforts and well-being. This is not wrong, but this is very superficial. And also you wonder, why was this mantra recommended by Maharshi Parashara for making Sani Deva happy? What is special about this, and what is the link with Sani Deva? So Let's talk about the correct meaning in my view, in my humble view. The missing link in my view is, as I mentioned in the Mantra Pushpam video in November, I think it was on November 26 last year. The word apaha and apaha can also mean actions. Apaha is actions, apaha is inspired actions, actions in sync with divine will. So, this is the meaning in which Vedas use apaha and apaha in many places. I gave an example of Mars mantra, Agnir Murdha Devaha. I gave the example of Mantra Pushpam in the previous video. Just as water flows down from a mountain, action flows from consciousness. And just as water is the basis of all physical life, similarly, action is the basis of all animation of consciousness. Consciousness is like a fixed mountain, and there is animation in it, which is causing everything that we feel, see, etc., know, etc. So, as I mentioned in my Mantra Pushpam video also, I talked about this. So, now if you take that meaning, use the word, use the meaning actions, inspired actions instead of waters for apaha, this is the meaning you can come up with for that Veda mantra. May there auspiciously be our inspired actions for the fulfillment of divine will. In other words, may we be willing pawns in the hand of divine, engaging in hard work for divine agenda without resistance or resentment. For our protection, as we engage in inspired actions, may peace and equanimity flow towards us. In other words, may we perform inspired actions to fulfill divine agenda with peace and equanimity. And that is exactly the spirit represented by Sani Deva. Spirit of patience, peace, acceptance. Whatever the divine is giving you as a result of previous karmas, completely accept it. And then have restraint in your current karma. So, perform inspired actions to fulfill divine agenda, flow with the divine will, and do it so with peace and equanimity. So, this is the spirit represented by Sani Deva. So, that is what the Veda mantra is saying. So, you can chant this mantra. And the thing is, when you chant the mantra, the meaning that is inherent in it, whether you know it or not, will become manifest within you. So that is the idea. The other thing is, as I mentioned in the Kantara review video, worshipping devatas is one thing, but even if you don't worship a devata by name or by a prayer, if you are helping the agenda of the devata, if you are advancing the qualities represented by the devata, then the devata can help you, like the devata does to the hero in Kantara. Even though he doesn't worship the devata helps the person in the end, like that. So what can you do? How can you appease Sani Deva without doing pujas? You can be patient, you can be disciplined, you can have a simple life. And the other thing is, you can help people represented by Sani Deva. You can go to slums and do social service. You can help the poor, you can help the downtrodden, and that will make Sani Deva happy. So there are various ways in which you can make Sani Deva happy. And finally, I want to chant the 108 name prayer of Sani Deva. In general, 108 name prayers of various devatas are very auspicious and powerful. So you can, this is the link. Let me chant it. So you can go to vedicastrologer.org, my website, and then click on Homa, download the manuals. Click for Sani. So look for Sani Homa. In the last column, I'll click on the Sanskrit. So this is the longer manual, the legacy manual, whereas there are simpler manuals in the first two columns that I recommend if you are starting off. And look for Ashto. I think because the video window is trying to capture it, it is very slow. Oops. Ashtot. So I'm searching for Ashtottara Satnama Stotra. Okay, we found it. So it is here. So again, Swaha at the end of every line should be skipped. It is for Homa. When you're offering, you say Swaha. So chant it without Swaha. So I'll chant it. Om Shanaishcharaya Santaya Sarvabhishta Pradayine Saranyaya Varenyaya Sarveshaya Namo Namah Saumyaya Suravanjaya Suraloka Viharine Sukhasanopavishtaya Sundaraya Namo Namah Ghanaya Ghanarupaya Ghanabharanadharine Ghanasara Vilepaya Khajjotaya Namo Namah మందాయ మందచేష్టాయ మహనీయ గుణాత్మనే మర్త్యపావనపాదాయ మహేశాయ నమో నమః ఛాయాపుత్రాయ సర్వాయ శరతూణీరధారిణే చరస్థిరస్వభావాయ చంచలాయ నమో నమః నీలవర్ణాయ నిత్యాయ నీలాంజననిభాయ చ నీలాంబరవిభూషాయ నిశ్చలాయ నమో నమః వేద్యాయ విధిరూపాయ విరోధాధారభూమయే వేదాస్పదస్వభావాయ వజ్రదేహాయ తే నమః వైరాగ్యదాయ వీరాయ వీతరోగభయాయ చ విపత్పరంపరేశాయ విశ్వవంజాయ తే నమః గృధ్రవాహాయ గూఢాయ కూర్మాంగాయ కురూపిణే కుత్సితాయ గుణాఢ్యాయ గోచరాయ నమో నమః అవిద్యామూలనాశాయ విద్యాస్వరూపిణే ఆయుష్యకారణాయాపదుద్ధర్త్రే చ నమో నమః విష్ణుభక్తాయ వశినే వివిధాగమవేదినే విధిస్తుత్యాయ వంద్యాయ విరూపాక్షాయ తే నమః వరిష్ఠాయ గరిష్ఠాయ వజ్రాంకుశధరాయ చ వరదాభయహస్తాయ వామనాయ నమో నమః జ్యేష్ఠాపత్నీసమేతాయ శ్రేష్ఠాయామితభాషిణే కష్టౌఘనాశకాయార్యపుష్టిదాయ నమో నమః స్తుత్యాయ స్తోత్రగమ్యాయ భక్తివశ్యాయ భానవే భానుపుత్రాయ భవ్యాయ పావనాయ నమో నమః ధనుర్మండలసంస్థాయ ధనదాయ ధనుష్మతే తనుప్రకాశదేహాయ తామసాయ నమో నమః అశేషజనవంజాయ విశేషఫలదాయినే వశీకృతజనేశాయ పశూనాం పతయే నమః ఖేచరాయ ఖగేశాయ ఘననీలాంబరాయ చ కాఠిన్యమానసాయార్య గణస్తుత్యాయ తే నమః నీలఛత్రాయ నిత్యాయ నిర్గుణాయ గుణాత్మనే నిరామయాయ నింద్యాయ వందనీయాయ తే నమః ధీరాయ దివ్యదేహాయ దీనార్తిహరణాయ చ దైన్యనాశకరాయార్య జనగణ్యాయ తే నమః క్రూరాయ క్రూరచేష్టాయ కామక్రోధకరాయ చ కళత్రపుత్రశత్రుత్వకారణాయ నమో నమః పరిపోషితభక్తాయ వరభీతిహరాయ చ భక్తసంఘమనోభీష్టఫలదాయ నమో నమః. This is the 108 name prayer of Shani. So, in general, this is not a bad transit. So, but this is a very good time for doing spiritual sadhana. So, try to, in the next couple of years, try to benefit from that. Try to do more sadhana. And those who have the Janmarasi that I mentioned, that may have problem with this Saturn transit, you can pick one of the prayers and do it regularly every day or every week, every Saturday. And one small note, you don't have to do all of these. Even though I gave multiple options, our rishis gave multiple options because people have different taste. Loko bhinna ruchihi. Depending on your taste, you will find something more tasty and you can enjoy that. So that is why there are options. Don't think that I have to do all these and have a longer routine and pressure yourself. Instead, pick one that your mind is drawn to and enjoy it. Do it as much as you can. Okay, so I hope that everybody benefits from these prayers, and also I hope that Sani Deva instills discipline and patience in all of us and make the world a better place. Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Yavat bhumandale sanatana dharmo vardhatu. Visheshatah Bharatkhande, Amerikavashe, Tibet Rashtre cha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.